asked for the people in that convention hall to just be quiet and to pray and to hold in their hearts who they're fighting for. It isn't easy running for office. This is a big county. This is a big district. I have 16 counties, 250 precincts, 4.5 hours east to west. And I go everywhere, every day, 5 a.m. on, everywhere. And guys, I got to be honest, sometimes it isn't fun. Sometimes you're surrounded and you realize how small your movement is and how big the forces you're fighting are. But during those moments, especially on Sundays, when I'm sitting there in my truck wondering what's the pathway forward, I do what FDR told us to do. I pause and remember in my heart why we're out here, who we're fighting for. If I might ask today, this day, less than 50 days before the biggest election of our lifetime, the election that we feel in our bones is on the brink of a new way forward or destruction of our country, our republic. Who are you fighting for? Can someone call out right now a name, a family member, a cause? Why are you here tonight?
America.
America. God bless her.
My future grandchildren.
Your future grandchildren. And what's your name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Of course, it's Stephanie. Good to see you. Future grandchildren. Can't see through your mask. Who else?
The military families.
The military families. Amen. Who else are you here for?
Dreamers.
Dreamers. And what's your name, ma'am?
Lori.
Lori's here for dreamers. Who else? What else are we here for?
Healthcare for elder folks.
Amen. Healthcare for the elder. What's your name, ma'am?
King.
Thank you for being here. One more.
The kids in cages.
The kids in cages. Amen. Amen. What was it, Jay? Equal rights for all. Folks, we gather for different communities. We gather for different causes, but we're unified under that love of home and country. We have seen what has happened to Tennessee and America for the past few years, and we know it's not right. You know, the word patriotism is Greek. Patria, the fatherland, the motherland. It means love of country. But you cannot love your country if you do not love the people you inhabit this country with. You're here because you're patriots. Now, some might call you other names, but let me tell you, your future congressman right here before you knows that you're patriots. You love this country. You love its citizens. And you know in your bones what's happening isn't right. And folks, this gathering here today has been replicated all across this state. You might not know it just yet. Perhaps this is a little bit bigger than you expected. Perhaps Andy Ogles doesn't run this town, and you and your families do. Perhaps the voices that you have cried out have more power than you imagine. In 44 days, Andy Ogles will have no power here. We will have the power. In 44 days, Andy can go challenge Governor Lee in a failed bid. But you know what's going to be exciting? You know what Maury County is going to know? You know what's going to be in the front page of your newspaper? A new congressman. A new congressman. A new way forward for you and your children. This is the story of the nation. Let me tell you something. In the 5 months that I've run for the United States Congress, this campaign has been covered by CNN, the Washington Post twice, Newsweek just last week, and yes, even our friends at Fox News. Even our friends at Fox News. Because you know what they know? Something's happening in Tennessee. We have had the biggest crowds that have ever gathered for a Democrat in places you have never heard of. We've had the biggest crowds in Rutherford County since some guy named Al Gore was running for president of the United States. The month before, we had the biggest crowds in Bradley County they had since some guy named Bill Clinton came riding through town. It's not because of me, it's because of you. It's because you are sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know, Lord knows I'm not a perfect person. And people know a little bit about me, but they frankly know a lot about my opponent. We know about Do Nothing Desjardins. We know how he scandalized our community. We know we cringe when the national media covers it because we all know when CNN, when MSNBC, and yes, when Fox News covers Tennessee, it's not because we did something right. It's because our leaders embarrassed us again. He got rich. He made $1.7 million. We got sick. 2,300 Tennesseans dead. 200,000 Americans dead. Job loss at the highest since the Great Depression. Poverty on the rise, wages on the low. That's Scott Desjardins' record. Let me tell you something. Who here considers themselves a Democrat? About half. This is for my fellow Democrats. We are way too nice. We are way too nice. They will kick us down and we take it. I'm not a teddy bear, folks. I didn't get here because I'm the nicest person that God ever made. Sometimes when we fight for those we love, we can't afford to fight so lovingly. I've taken the fight to Scott Desjardins, and let me tell you what's happened. We have a record 4,700 donors to this campaign. That's double Bill Hagerty, what he brought in. That's more than Bill Hagerty and Manny Sethi combined. We have over 600 volunteers who are nearing over 300,000 contacts with Tennessee voters. Who here has gotten to contact from a hell yes, Hell's Angel via text or telephone? That's why you're here. Because these young people, because volunteers in this community have reached out, and we're building something. We have over 1,200 yard signs in the ground. We got 1,000 more coming this week. We're going to have more yard signs in the ground than any campaign in the history of the state of Tennessee, Democrat or Republican. Folks, let me put it very simply for you. We are running the strongest grassroots campaign Tennessee has ever seen. 44 days. Is that right? 44? Yeah. Sometimes I lose my mind. 44 days. 248 communities. These boots, which have taken me across the globe, which have taken me to all 95 counties of Tennessee, which have taken me to every community in this congressional district. At the end of this run, when the momentum's building and Halloween's coming, I'm going to take one more trek throughout all 16 counties, throughout all 250 communities. And this big crowd we have tonight, thank God we have it, something's going to happen. It's already happening. You can feel it in your bones right now. That feeling you have in your heart, it's not fooling you. Your own two eyes aren't fooling you. Something big's happening. But that night, I'm not sure where we'll gather. Maybe we'll go on the square. Maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do something right at the office of our dear county mayor. Let him see it with his own two eyes. Take it right to him. His little square activities won't compare. The support for this movement will stretch as long as the eye can see. They will hear us at Asgard. They will hear us at that Rebel Bar down the street. They will hear us everywhere. You will know then what you might not know now. You are looking at your next congressman. Folks, it is time. You are the change you're looking for. This is the movement to get involved. And so I'm going to take your questions. I hope you have some. But I'm going to humbly ask you, as a young man who's putting 16 hours a day, running on Red Bull and prayers, but also running on the generosity of folks like you. This record-breaking campaign, my staff, they're great. I'm okay, but we can't do it alone. I'm asking three things of you tonight. 4,600 donors to this campaign. The average contribution, $32.33. I didn't make Bernie Sanders proud. We should call Bernie. Tonight, and over 300 contributions right here in Maury County. God bless you. Thank you. Truly, thank you. Tonight, will someone from Maury County, it's like the altar call on Sunday, will someone at Maury County tonight be my 4,601st donor in this campaign and 301st in Maury County? Will someone raise their hand tonight and say they're in? Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What this does is it feeds this movement that is energizing the state of Tennessee. We're on TV. Isn't that exciting? You're going to see I'm going to see my name. You're going to see our name, our signs, our message all across this state in 4 media markets. It's expensive. I spend a lot of time on the day begging for money. I'm not proud of it, but it's what you got to do. But the money you give, it doesn't feed me, it feeds this movement. So there's 3 ways you can give. Those you raise your hands, my staff, it is like church. We're coming around. We're coming around. There's 3 ways you can give for those you raise your hand. The first is you can give via card. We can swipe it right here. You can give via card. The second thing you can do is give via check, Christopher Hale for Tennessee, or you can give cash. You can give cash, and we will simply take that. Once again, it's not feeding me. It's not feeding I'm not getting a salary. It's going to this movement. So my staff will come around right now. We'll take that. Second thing we're asking for is we're asking for volunteers. Now, here's the thing about it. People get scared about volunteering. Who has volunteered with my campaign? Few of you have. Good. I need the rest of you. We have made volunteering so easy for this campaign. Who here considers themselves technologically deficient? Anyone want to admit it? I do. I do. I'm a millennial who's becoming a boomer. Okay. I've struggled with technology. We can make it where you simply do calls. We give you the calls and you make them. And here's the thing about it. Here's the thing, Murray. You're not trying to persuade people. Okay. We're giving you what we call safe calls. We're giving you calls from people, everything that tells us about them, they should be in my vote. They should be in Noah's Ark, but for some reason we haven't figured out why they're not in it. They didn't vote in the primary, or there's some reason we haven't figured out that they're in us, but the data says they're Democrats. But what you do is when you assure us that the people that should vote for me, I don't waste the money you just gave me. Does it make sense? I put my resources to those who aren't in Noah's Ark yet and make sure they get in the Ark, so the destructive days are later than take them down the wrong pathway. Okay? So you can do calls. Now, let's say some folks do not like calling people. We have texting. You don't even have to look at the talk to person. You can simply text from your home right here in Maury County. So, if you don't like texting, you can call. If you don't like calling, you can text. Now, I see some averting eyes, but I have strong eyes, or green or brown, according to the state of Tennessee. I'm looking you in the eye. I'm looking you. You know I'm looking you in the eye. You see it. The camera sees it too. I'm looking you in the eye too. Who will say today that they're willing to take a jump of courage and say, yes, I will be your 601st volunteer. I will text or call for an hour over the next week or two. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have you all signed up to volunteer with my staff when you signed in? Good. We will contact you tomorrow. Do not ignore our calls. We will call back. The third thing. Can one of my staffers bring up a hell yes sign? Do we have those in our possession? Yeah, come on up. I'm blind. Do you remember Vanna White? Is she still around? Okay. Wheel of Fortune. This is my Vanna. You know about that. There's a man named Joseph who lives in Colioca. Joseph drove by the Colioca Volunteer Fire Department. You know where that is? And so there was a hell yes sign there. Joseph works at the GM up in Spring Hill. He thought my signs were great. He loved them. He told everyone about the signs. He said, I love this. He Googled me. He said, I like the guy. It's a decent smile. He seems to stand for workers. He's a lifelong Tennessean. He seems to be on my side. Then Joseph, about a month later, went to church. Told his friends about this hell yes guy. And then he found the worst news of his month. Hale's a Democrat. Hale's a Democrat. But let me tell you something. Joseph spent a month just knowing me. Just knowing who I was, my bio, what I stood for. who I fought for, what I cared about. And Joseph liked me. Joseph liked what I stood for. And for the first time ever, he's sitting at church, and Joseph asked himself, for the first time ever of his 43 years, who is my congressman? He has never known his congressman. He does not know his name, but more importantly, Congressman J. Jarley does not know him. And so for the first time ever, he Googled Scott J. Jarley. Joseph, man of faith. Joseph, pro-life. Joseph, pro-family. Joseph, worker. He Googled Scott J. Jarley and he found out the truth. It's because he had my sign as an in. He didn't identify me as party. He identified me as Chris Hale. Chris Hale, who's for workers. Chris Hale, who's for families. Chris Hale, who's for the working class. Chris Hale, lifelong Tennessean. Chris Hale, man of faith. Joseph is voting for Chris Hale. Folks, these signs make Tennesseans do something for the first time they've done in their lifetime. Figure out who the hell their congressman is. And when we figure out who our congressman is, I'm telling you, Republicans, if they knew who their congressman was, we won't get all of them, but we'll get enough of them. We'll get enough of them. I need to win 40,000 non-Democrats to win this election. We've done internal polling, folks. We are within single digits. I don't know if you understand what a big deal that is. This is a seat that we've lost by 2-1 margins, and summer ain't over yet. And we are within striking distance. It's because of the Josephs of the world who found out about my campaign through these signs. These are angry signs in some ways. Hell yes, something must change. Hell yes, something's wrong. But they're also signs of hope, signs of new things to come. Joseph had no idea there could be a Democrat running for office. Joseph just assumed there was always Republicans. But we got Joseph in because of this sign. These are missionary signs. These signs are the biggest tool we get to get non-Democrats into this movement. I have 1,200 yard signs in the ground. Manny Sethi would be jealous. We're going to have more yard signs than any candidate in this state, Democrat or Republican. But these signs are so crucial because they get me voters. They get me people to compare my record with my opponent, my character with my opponent, my vision with my opponent. So, who wants to be my 1,201st yard sign owner? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You could also take these signs in places in Maury County. We have big signs. You know those Biden Harris signs? Oh, God bless them. I have seen so many Biden Harris signs today. I have been all throughout Middle Tennessee. Looking pretty good, guys.
That's good.
It's wonderful.
The Republicans are taking them all down, I thought.
Hey, let me tell you something about that. Can I tell a quick story? Very quick story. Decatur, Tennessee. Anyone know where Decatur is? It's way out there. I'm impressed you know it. It's in Meigs County. It's near where the TVA is. The TVA plant out there. I have some strong supporters of educators in Decatur, in Meigs County. And they were sick and tired of their signs getting stolen. So about a week ago, one of my Meigs County supporters, feeling perhaps angry, defensive, they put a mousetrap on their sign. Next morning, mousetrap engaged, sign untouched. My supporters defend their sign. If they come after your sign, ma'am, put a mousetrap on it. You can tell that to the district attorney. Put a mousetrap on it. Protect your property. Protect your property. But if they steal your sign, I have more signs than God could ever make. I will get you another sign. Let them steal it. Let them commit crimes to try to win this election. They're not going to win. Look, these folks think they can bully you. They think they can bully you into submission, into their way of thinking. They think they can bully you into the way of our community that's given us 10% unemployment, that's shut down our schools, that requires us to wear masks 6 months of this crisis because Scott Desjardins didn't do anything about it. We're standing up to the bullies. I'm a fighter. Come at me. Come at me hard, and we'll punch hard. If they take your signs, man, I'll give you 2 more. We're not afraid of them. Do not be afraid. I'm begging you. Fellow Christians, 366 times, Jesus says, be not afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of our opponents. They are empty suits. The emperor has no clothes. I outraised Scott Desjardins 5-1 last quarter. We out-organized him 100-1. He is in trouble. He is in trouble. But what I'm asking you tonight, and I'll close with this and I'll take your questions. This is the year to give a little bit more. This is the year, if you only get $10, to give 20. Because the movement's on fire. The train's going, and we need you. This is the year, if you call 10 people, to call 20. This is the year, if you take one sign and it gets stolen, and you just call it a day, to ask for another. If you can give just 1% more, just a little bit more over the next 44 days, you will make history in this state. The feeling you have in your heart right now, that feeling of excitement, of energy, or perhaps something new is coming. You aren't alone. Tennesseans across this state have felt it this summer in their homes, in places where Democrats haven't visited them since God was a boy. They felt it. But it's not going to compare an ounce to the feeling you will have on the 3rd of November, where through the means of a free and fair election, the people of rural Tennessee elect the youngest congressman this community's put forward since Al Gore. It will not compare. The front page of the New York Times, above the fold, it will say that Joe Biden is elected president. But you know what the second story will be? You know what the second story is? Right below the fold.
Hell yeah.
Hell yes. Hell yes. An historic upset in rural Tennessee. Hell yes, things are changing. Hell yes, there's a new sound coming up. Hell yes, we redeem Tennessee in America. But you've got to do it. I can't do it myself. I'm one man with one body and one team. I'm humbly asking for your help. Please chip in right now. My staff's going to invite. Please sign up to volunteer. Please take a sign. I won't let you down. When I'm elected to the United States Congress, I will not bring scandal upon you and those you love. I'll bring good jobs. I'll bring living wages. I'll bring hospitals and rural health care. And I will bring generational change to Tennessee and America. Thank you for having me. It's cooling off a little bit. I like the weather out here in Murray. Thank y'all. Questions? And ma'am, say your name for everyone.
I'm going to take my mask off. I got distance, right? Okay.
Sure. Go for it.
My name is Melinda. That's enough.
Okay, perfect. We will out you.
It's not a question, though.
Sure.
It's inspiration, I hope, because I've been really discouraged, having been here 17 years from Northern California in the politics here, and working hard for people like A.J. Holmes, who's
We're in a hell of a campaign.
Stephen Reynolds, fabulous person, came in last. I mean, I got discouraged, so I want to say, I was posting something on social media, and this woman who's a realtor here said, I want you to know, in this last summer, so many people have moved here from California, you wouldn't even believe it. It's changed the demographic, and so it's just a little inspiring because I know basically how California votes.
Well, let me tell you something. Chris Hale is going to win more California displaces in Tennessee than anyone in
There's
the
a lot of
state.
them here now.
There at Spring Hill, I have in my base is actually Republicans from California.
Yeah.
They moved here for the low taxes, but they didn't know the racism was coming with the Republicans of Tennessee. They didn't know who this Glenn Cassidy was. They didn't like the scandals, the embarrassment. So they found in me a thoughtful man who could count to 10, not going to screw over their way of life, but wouldn't embarrass them. So, folks, the coalition that's going to build this campaign, I've always told people, listen, on election night, when you're at my election night party, wherever that might be, you might not like half the people there. It's going to be a diverse coalition. It's going to be made up of Democrats, thank God. It's going to be made up of women who are sick of domestic abusers, a man who's abused his power against women time and again being office. It's going to be full of young people who were left out of the political process. It's going to be full of rural folks who are sick and tired of the government arresting their kids for smoking marijuana. It's going to be a wide and diverse coalition, and you know what's going to be a big part of it? California Republicans. Welcome to Tennessee. I'm glad to have your vote. Other questions? Yes, ma'am. And state your name for everyone again.
Lori calls. We met.
Yeah, of course. I just wanted them to hear you.
Yeah. So, where do you need in the district? Where do you need the most? Or where, I don't know how to say this. Where do you need the most help, or where do you feel there is the most promise for us to pull votes out that maybe we're not, looking at, or you don't have enough people to hit it?
So I would say this: the best way I describe this is I am not the expertise on where the votes are in in the community. My staff is better at that. But here's what I will say in two ways. We know that Chris Hale has outperformed with women. That the data is very clear on that. That we outperformed with women, non-democratic women. Here's what I mean by that. Democratic women, in our worldview, is people that have voted in Democratic primaries that just have the clear, distinctive qualities of Democrats. A big portion of my base has been women who are not traditional Democrats. They do not participate in Democratic politics consistently. We did really well with women in Maury County. And I think, humbly, that the reason why that is because of who my opponent is. And I want to be very clear on this. Scott Desjardins' scandals have always been told as abortion and this and that. This is the scandal that he did. He abused his power against women. He abused women. Scott Desjardins was a domestic abuser. He admitted that to the state of Tennessee. And I think I have a strong inclination that a lot of women in Tennessee want to take a vote, a stand against sexual violence, against the abuse of power against women. So I think that women are going to be the core demographic here in Maury County, and we've got to educate them about who my opponent is and who I am. They might not agree on every issue. Republican women are not the same as Democratic women, but they agree on the dignity of family life. They agree on the dignity of marriage and not having a husband threaten you with a gun. There are basic values that we have. And so what I would say the biggest thing you can do is if you fold into our system, what's magical about our system is we know where to put you. We know your address, we know your background, we learn about you, and we know exactly where you can fit. You do not have to do the research yourself. You do not need to be an expert in politics to participate in this campaign. We can put you where you live, where you're from, the neighborhood you are. But the biggest thing I need your help on is I need you to take a step of courage to step in and volunteer this campaign. I am from Rutherford County. Great place. Love it. Maury County citizens have to be my validators. You've got to validate me to your community. You've got to say, I met this guy. He's a different kind of Democrat. He's different than the rest. He really cares about us. He's come time and again. He's going to stand up for us. You know when's the last time Congressman Desjardins stepped foot in your community? Anyone?
Never.
He came in December 2011. Do you know where I was in December 2011? In college. Getting old, losing my hair, wasn't eligible for his office. It's been a decade since Congressman Desjardins has been to this county and participated in town hall. It's been over 7 years since he's participated in any town hall in this state. The best way to win over a Chris Hale voter is ask them who their congressman is. Have they met him? They know anything about him? They do not. And the first thing they'll do is they'll Google. If people in Tennessee Google Scott Desjardins, I will win this election. But I need you all to participate in our campaign apparatus, to dive into the system. It's not an empty suit. We can put you into our system and make you a functional ally to the work we're doing. Thank you. Other questions?
You have one from the live stream.
We'll go for it. What's the question?
Do you have any plans once in office to support ranked choice voting at all levels of Tennessee elections?
Does anyone know what ranked choice voting is? Ranked choice voting is basically where you vote like first place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place. And what it does is, let's say that you only have one person you can fill for an office, but you got someone you like second most. You can put them in the position. And what we have, what's so hard about being a Democrat in rural Tennessee is people might know. You all have partisan county elections, don't you? Or is it
It's mixed. They just started doing it 2 cycles ago, where they started pushing it, but it's not well received. but we do now.
So the reason why the Republicans want to do partisan elections is because a lot of folks know, what's the name of Ty Cobb? God bless Ty Cobb.
Yeah.
Hero. He should be governor one day. Maybe him and Jazz can one day. Jazz Mueller also wonderful. God bless them. Man, you all have a great city mayor and a horrible county mayor. Right?
Yeah.
Man, oh man. What's happened is by partisanizing local races, what they're doing is they're trying to say, well, I know my neighbor Chaz, but I refuse to vote for him because he's part of that party. Does it make sense? What ranked choice does is it gives Democrats a fighting chance. It gives progressives a fighting chance in local elections because our name recognition alone, I'm convinced Ty Cobb, if Ty Cobb was Ty Cobb would be our state rep. Ty Cobb would probably be our state senator. The only reason that Ty Cobb was at that seat is because they gerrymandered him out of it, but also too because they tried to make him something he wasn't. Ty Cobb, on his integrity and character alone, should win that seat. But what they've done is they've villainized Democrats. So what ranked choice voting does is it gives us a fighting chance in local elections. Final question, anyone? I love the virtual participation. You guys are famous.
Does Chris Hale have any proposed solution to balancing the country's budget?
Okay, so that will be the final question, unless there's any in-person final question. Okay, let's talk about balancing budgets. You know what the past 20 years have done to our budget? 2001, Afghanistan war, $800 million. Iraq war, 2 years later, $1.2 trillion. The bailout for the banks, $1.3 trillion. Who put all those bills together? Republicans love that. They love that. And the biggest scam of all was the tax cut that wasn't a tax cut. $1.4 trillion, 90% of it went to the wealthy. Crumbs went to you and your family. You know what I'm going to do to balance the budget, sir? I'm going to roll back the tax cuts that went to the rich. I'm going to roll back the tax cuts that went to corporations that ship jobs. I'm going to invest in Maury County schools. I'm going to give teachers pay raises.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? A lot of Republicans ask me, about this. Do you know who got one of the biggest tax cuts in the country in 2017? Those devils at CNN. We're going to raise CNN's taxes. We're going to raise corporations' taxes so that we can invest in our families and our kids. I can count to 10. I know how to balance budgets, and the best way we balance budgets is not on the backs of the poor, but on investments in our community. Folks, it's really good to be here. I believe we're going somewhere afterwards. You can ask my staff about that, but I'm glad to take any questions you have. Please donate. Please take a sign. Please sign up to volunteer. 44 days. 44 days. You can feel it in your bones. Do not be stressed. Help is on the way. Do not type out your concerns on Facebook. Get involved in this campaign. Let's get to work. Let's win an historic election, and let's bring generational change to Tennessee and America. Thank you so much.